He gave me this book to read called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and understand the concept of early investment, young investment, saving, not spending your money until you've made it. And really, at 22 and a half, I had my first property in central London. And then he taught me how to leverage that. And at 31, I was financially free. Tooth and oral health is all about the start of what you can do. Cleaning twice a day, working in between the teeth, seeing the hygienist regularly. It's my biggest tip. And then seeing your dentist once a year, so he's seeing it early enough.
Does that mean that your oral health could have an impact on another organ in your body?
100%. If you talk about actual Chinese medicine and acupuncture and qi, they say the teeth is the end of the actual line. And if a tooth is taken out, it's going to take you a while for that whole qi and that pathway to heal. And so they're all linked to different organs. Neuropsychology is a big part of the way that one thinks and delivers. And as a dentist, I just think that with the amount of patients we have and the way that I've tried to rewrite dentistry, it comes from the fact that I'm actually looking after the person, not their teeth.
The first time I went to you, it was funny because I thought I was having a therapy session at the same time, which was brilliant, actually. So I got 2 for the price of 1. I really loved the style of... Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the GVE London podcast. And today we are joined by Samir Patel, CEO and co-founder of E11even Dental, awarded one of the best dental practices in the UK. Thanks for joining us.
So exciting.
So Sam, you have the #1 dental practice in the whole of the UK, right? How did the journey begin?
Well, I think the journey begins, obviously dentistry is one side of it, but actually just being a human being is the second part of it. I was a really happy child. I had a dad who was a doctor. Mum used to stay at home. I used to play sport endlessly.
You're into cricket, right?
Yeah, and really, but also all sports when I was younger, and I was very much a team player. And that all of those things have helped me out, I suppose, in where I am today. You know, you've got to be a leader, you've got to be part of a team. So I think sport was really at the essence of me, but also I rely on that a lot today when I have to make tough decisions.
Really? Okay, so cricket, you played at a very high level, right?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play in 2 fantastic teams to win the nationals with club and county.
Wow.
And represented the MCC both home at Lords and abroad as well. So cricket is a massive passion of mine. That's
amazing. And did at any point you want to just go fully into cricket and develop that as a career?
That's all I wanted to do actually growing up.
Really?
And then dad being dad, it just felt I needed to have a degree. So that was a whole...
Classic Indian.
You need to get a degree and I want to play sport. And so then, therefore, it was just a compromise because there was none of these universities that had these centre of excellence at that stage. So it was a decision. It was go and do a degree or continue the cricket. And really, at university, I was fortunate enough, I was still playing for Berkshire, but I ended up playing for the amateur England team. And that was great for me because I actually found out I probably wasn't good enough.
Really?
And so that was a real sort of eye-opener for me to say, you're not quite good enough. I don't think you're going to make it as far as you think you are. And actually, because I was already studying, I was in my second year at Birmingham studying dentistry, I could slip straight into dentistry without really thinking about it. And actually, that's when I started studying. And today, one of my passions in life is reading books, studying. And I wasn't burnt out when I was younger. And I think that is one thing I want for my children. I don't want them to be burnt out studying hard now. At the same time, we've got hurdles to overcome, GCSEs, A-levels, to allow you to progress. But actually burning your children out at a young age, often they can lose the love or that curiosity for life.
There's the opposite effect, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But you'd say that your love of sports and cricket stopped you from burning out?
Well, I just don't think I knew any different when I was younger. I wasn't an avid book reader. I wasn't the most studious student. But what I was in a slipstream at a grammar school where everybody was actually pretty clever. And I think that just slipstream allowed me to stay in an environment that was academic. So I was continuing my sports and my passion, but at the same stage, the level of academics around me was high enough to pull me through and allow me to get through GCSEs, A-levels, and then get into dental school.
And so then you would have had to go into dental school, and how long does that take to complete?
Yeah, so it's a minimum of 5 years, and it's an arduous 5 years. You're in 35 hours a week. Either it's non-clinical to start with, and you're studying medicine for the first 2.5 years, and then we then deviate into head and neck, and the doctors then go into full body, but really then your clinical parts start. And that is when I really knew I loved dentistry, because anything to do with hand-eye coordination or things, it was like a little game, doing these fillings, doing crown preparation, all of that. It was like, wow, I love this. And you weren't in an office, you were in a practice, you were interacting with people. And David, we're lucky we know each other back. And there's nothing more I prefer is interacting with people and being around people. So it sort of felt like at that stage, I knew that the path was right.
Well, it's funny, gamifying the work that you do, that's so important actually, because it's so important that somebody actually enjoys what they do on a daily basis, because life can become a massive struggle if you don't. So I used to be an accountant, and there was just, I found no joy in it. And so that's the point at which where you're trying to force yourself out of bed. You're like, I don't really want to go. You're on Sunday night, you're dreading the Monday morning, that kind of feeling, right? Whereas when I looked around, everybody's different, right? And I had a guy that sat next to me in KPMG that had studied physics at Cambridge University, and he lived for accounting. Like this guy had never had so much fun in his life, right?
So fun, so fun.
For one guy's torture is another guy's, pleasure, right? It's just nuts. Yeah. But so then you perfected that. You had a lot of fun in doing it, and you enjoy interacting with your clients. And I know that because I am one of your clients. And so the first time I went to you, it was funny because I thought I was having a therapy session at the same time, which was brilliant, actually. So I got 2 for the price of 1. But I really love the style of explaining everything to a person and not making them feel like I don't know, how would you put it? Like sometimes you go to dentists or other medical professionals or whatever, and they feel like you feel like they're pulling the wool over your eyes. And I like your approach in just kind of breaking it down for that person as much as possible.
Yeah, David, for me, I come from a family of doctors, so actually for me, I'm interested in the person. And I think dentistry, we're learning more and more in medicine and wellness that actually everything's connected. Huberman has just set the 7th pillar of health, and this is the latest one, and it's oral health. How important is oral health on your body, on your gut, on your heart, the rest of your skin, which is obviously a big organ as well. So it was really something that I felt I understood, that the mouth was key part of any health, let alone oral health. So I've always been interested in the person and helping them get to the next level. And the dentistry was obviously straightforward enough that I could understand what dental wellness looked like, and what was needed for that person to move from where they were today, but to being proactive in their treatment planning to prevent future problems. Because really, medicine and dentistry for a very long period, and in some places still today, is so reactive. And so anything, even like these cars, I mean, you got to have that service recently. Otherwise, there's going to be a bigger problem, bigger biologically for a person, but bigger for the engine and therefore so financially as well down the line.
I mean, okay, it's funny that you mentioned Huberman. Huberman's like taken the world by storm, hasn't he? And what a great concept, right? That he's just, what a great business concept. He's made so much content. He's researched the hell out of it. I think he is a professor himself.
Yeah, he is a professor at Stanford, and a lot of his stuff's very evidence-based, which I really therefore respect.
So it's evidence-based. Actually, one thing that I just watched about him just today was pretty weird. He takes nicotine. I don't know in what form. He doesn't smoke it. He doesn't vape or anything like that. But it's in a form that is less detrimental to your health, right? But his views are that it helps with focus, and it has a positive impact on creating firing up your brain, basically.
I've not heard that, but what I do believe, and I think he talks a lot about, is NMN, NAD,
really?
which is a supplement. Absolutely. And so...
Have you noticed any difference?
I've been taking it for 6 years now, and I just feel that it's fantastic supplement for repair, for mental acuity, and
really?
But it's nicotinamide is the start of it. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, and if it's nicotine or nicotinamide.
No, definitely nicotine, he says.
So there's so much evidence out there. What he does is really filtrate everything out there for everybody to live a healthier life.
And so that's so cool that now he's saying that oral health is the seventh. Did you say seventh?
Seventh pillar.
And so essentially, does that mean that your oral health could have an impact on, let's say, for example, another organ in your body or something
100%,
like that?
100%. I mean, there's so many different sort of theories on it. If you talk about actual Chinese medicine and acupuncture and qi, they say the teeth is the end of the actual line. And if a tooth is taken out, it's going to take you a while for that whole qi and that pathway to heal. Wow. And so they're all linked to different organs, you know, for example, the lungs and the heart, they're all linked to different teeth. And so, well, I don't know enough about it, but I mean, when you actually consult these people that are hugely influential in that sphere, they talk a lot about absolutely upsetting the body when teeth are taken out.
Wow.
And then there's obviously evidence for gum problems, but really, tooth and oral health is all about the start of what you can do, you know, cleaning twice a day, working in between the teeth, seeing the hygienist regularly, which it's my biggest tip for anybody, for any oral health pathway.
It's preventative.
Yeah, and then seeing your dentist once a year, so he's seeing it early enough. But like anything, and you have a business in cars, and mine is to do with oral health, it's trust benefit. If you both trust each other, you're going to get the best out of each other. And so therefore this longevity of relationship that you often have with patients and they have with me, it's about openness. And actually that's what creates the trust. And it's the trust that allows the patient to have the best treatment. Because ultimately I'm recommending something for them. But they have to truly trust that I'm doing it for the right reasons.
For the right reasons, and not monetary.
And
look, not just purely monetary, I guess.
And I love neuroscience, and I often wonder back to when I was 22 and my uncle told me to buy a place in Finsbury Park, which was a flat, and I was earning £22,500 as a junior house officer. And obviously to raise £4,000 I was just trying to figure out how to make that happen. And my dad said, okay, I'll give you half of it. And so I saved up for a couple of months, which was a very low salary, working and living in central London. And we bought this place in Finsbury Park. But at the same time, he gave me this book to read called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and understand the concept of early investment, young investment, saving, not spending your money until you've made it. And really, at 22 and a half, I had my first property in central London. Wow. And then he taught me how to leverage that. And at 31, I was financially free.
Wow.
Now, I tell you that story because I truly believe that I'm the dentist I am today, because when I'm treating somebody, I'm not treating them and looking at their mouth for money. I'm looking at them, their health, their future-proofing their mouth, and giving them the right advice. So neuropsychology is a big part of the way that one thinks and delivers. And as a dentist, I just think that with the amount of patients we have and the way that I've tried to rewrite dentistry, it comes from the fact that I'm actually looking after the person, not their teeth.
Well, right.
And when that comes through in any sphere, I think you're going to find higher transactions, and your whatever it is that you are offering the universe, it's going to do better. And if it's business, it's a business. But whatever it is, I think that's a key part of trying to be as straight and honest as possible. And this trust benefit is a key part of any business.
Well, ultimately, it's your values, right? And if the patient has that trust that you're going to give them give them what they actually need, right? Then actually they don't mind spending so much money, right? They don't mind just saying, okay, do you know what? Just do all the treatment. Whereas if they even catch a whiff of 1 second, this guy's just trying to, you know,
you can see through it, and you can often see it, right?
And then that's it. You've lost the customer forever as well. So it's a great philosophy to have. I think the business that you started, 11 Dental, right? How long ago did you start that?
So we started that 2011, and it was an orthodontic practice in the West End.
Yeah.
2 surgeries, 2 practitioners. And when we bought it, it was Anthony, who's my partner, and Shivani, who's my wife. She had just started her maternity, and we went to see the place, and we offered on it. And I came back and I said, Shivani, we're going to buy a practice in the West End. And she said, who's working in it? I said, you. So we started with 2 orthodontists, and now we're 18 dentists. And, you know, again, that idea that multiplication of doing the right thing will allow patients to talk about you. You know, business is all about word of mouth. You know, that's where your best referrals come from. And at one stage, when we were tracking this really, and obviously we track a lot of data at 11 as well, but every new patient was sending 1.9 new patients.
Wow. Isn't that great?
But it came from the philosophy that we should rewrite dentistry. Dentistry was very transactional. It was very reactive. And as I sort of looked at other businesses that were successful, what I understood is that any business that you can look at, it's got to be customer facing, customer driving. Whereas actually our business, people will come to see us at the times we're open, and they will change their routine just to come and see us. So it's not that you're opening longer hours or extended hours, because really that's not great for morale in our team or the dentist concentration or whatever that might be. But the simple things about actually spending time with them at the beginning of the appointment and just making them comfortable and allowing them to understand what the procedure was. But also at the end, not being in a rush to say, right, I'll see you later, I've got the next patient. But as far, you know, and if we'd done any surgical procedure, they would always rung by the dentist the next day. How are you doing? How are you recovering? Is everything okay? Do you need to come back and see me? That type of personal touch is really something that you find in exquisite brands within our environment or within any fraternity.
So 2011, you started this new project. You had your wife working there as well as yourself and your partner, right? And fast forward 2024, where has the business come to?
Well, it still excites me. That's the first thing. Our technologies have got better. Our patient care is really fundamental to everything. So, but as you know, once you've had treatment with us, you don't need it for lots of further treatment. And therefore, biologically, financially, that's so much better for you. So therefore, we have a lot of patients at the moment that are in recalls, but we have a lot of patients that were referred that have had dentistry or need dentistry, and that is the lifeblood of our practice. But it's busy, and really,
how
as
many
I
clients
say,
do you have on your books?
so we have 13,500 patients, and really 13,500,
wow,
and you only need 600 in a dental practice really to be busy. So therefore, the concept is we're not seeing our patients very often. They have their own home care at home. They're seeing a hygienist that will take care of the reviews, and we just see them once a year. But obviously, there's a lot of work to do for our new patients, and about 15 to 20% of our patients will fly in to see us. And so that's really exciting as well, because then you're trying to do as much as you can in the short appointments. They come and see you, but they want the best available. But predictability is then the key thing there, because they're not with you the whole time. So that's a challenge in itself.
You've built your name to such a level, and then you've been featured in so many different publications like Tatler, The Times, and whatnot. And so you just mentioned that you have people flying in to see you, and I know you've had some pretty cool people. Now, I know that there'll be some that you're not allowed to mention, but give us an example of some that you are allowed to mention.
Well, I think every patient is different, right, first of all. And some come from locally, some come from abroad, and you have to manage all of that. But you have to also manage the personalities and the higher profile patients that we've had.
Like heads of state.
Yeah, I mean, look at
CEOs of, top FTSE 100 companies and whatnot. I
Yeah.
guess.
Look, I think it's no secret that a lot of high net worth people will come and see us because they want the best possible dental wellness solution.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're the most expensive in any shape or form because that doesn't fit me or fit our business. But what we want to do is provide the highest quality of care. Just coming back to individuals that then fly in or whether everybody's treatment plan the same. The first thing is that we treatment plan health. Is there an infection in the mouth? Let's take care of that. Because biggest cause of brain abscess is tooth abscess.
No way. I never knew that.
So simple things that just taking our x-rays, being diagnostic, doing scans, making sure the patient is fit and healthy. And even at that stage, people will often come back to us before they start their orthodontics or their Invisalign or their implants, and before they reach the aesthetic portion, they will actually feedback that they had backaches, they had problems, they had gut issues, and they've all gone away.
All gone. Isn't that crazy?
So what Huberman, and we spoke about that earlier, is saying that this was all linked. I couldn't have put my finger on it, but I love the fact that he deciphers all of that. And we've got to really take care of ourselves. And my mission is to get the oral health of our population better. But we eat a lot of sugar.
This is it. I don't know if you're familiar with Eddie Abu. Have you seen him on Instagram? Now, he is the full extreme of don't touch sugar, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of think that actually, he is a little bit explicit in how he tells people that you need to come off the sugar. Yeah. But I think you need that extreme because we've been so used to big corporations just feeding it to us, very subtly. And, it's okay to eat Cocoa Pops in the morning. That's a balanced diet. And it's like, what kind of bullshit is this?
But, I was brought up on Weetabix, right?
Yeah, same.
And so Weetabix and milk is like, what actual benefit is that having for me?
None.
Zero.
Yeah.
And it's a filler.
Well,
and
that's
like
right.
most people will have some type of intolerance to lactose.
Yeah.
And so therefore they're going to have
okay. I'm gonna
drill me in on this. Happy to take anything.
Okay, so I was of that opinion as well, right? I went and watched What the Health and Game Changers and whatnot, right? And so then I went fully vegan for a year, / pescatarian. And, I was firmly of the belief that we're humans, we don't drink milk, da-da-da-da. And then shortly after, I didn't really feel well with the whole plant-based diet. And I thought, shit, I need to get meat back into my system, right? And then researching more, I thought, okay, well, how long have we been drinking milk? And the answer was 6,000 years. Indians have been drinking it for 6,000 years. And as have many other, I granted that there's some cultures that don't drink milk because there's no bloody cows around them, right?
I can't wait to see where you're going with this.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that with time, our guts have evolved to process milk and gain the nutrients out of it. However, what our guts weren't used to back then was pasteurized milk, right?
Well, I mean, let's talk about milk again. I mean, I'd love to just come in on that because when you talk about milk 6,000 years ago is so different from today because of all the growth hormones, antibiotics, everything that's been put in those. Okay, number one. Number two, we're only actually made to have milk until we're 6 years old, 6 years old, then we're teething, and then actually we should be moving on solids. And the actual nutrient content of milk is very little. There is a mild amount of carbohydrate and a small amount of protein, but really very little. And so there are many people that drink milk, but actually it's seen historically as actually a substitute for food. And it was very cheap.
Okay.
And so therefore, when you go into the historic nature of drinking milk, it was farmland, it was available, it was thought to be healthy.
Yeah.
There's two parts of the lactose intolerance that I think more and more people have become intolerant, not allergic.
Yeah.
So there is some type of inflammation within yourself that is created by milk, number one. And that's not for everybody, but a large proportion. And the second proportion is what good is it doing you?
Mm.
So in today's world where we have so much, a huge variety of food that we can eat that is good for us.
Yeah.
And really now, as I dig deeper into this wellness and, into my new roles that I'm going into, I'm understanding that actually that is what we should be eating, and less so on the milk side, because even historically, milk used to be for people that couldn't afford the food. They would be drinking it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And also, the lower socioeconomic groups have the highest incidence of decay, and often in Asian backgrounds, where they feed their children for too long on bottles with milk in just before they go to bed.
Yeah.
So actually, the biggest cause of general anesthetic, or the cause of general anesthetic in this country, is tooth extraction.
I didn't know that.
So tooth extraction, the greatest cause of having a general anesthetic, number one, general anesthetic, side effect, death. Like, we're risking our lives here.
Wow. Just to get teeth taken out because
we're feeding our children this lactose that's broken down to glucose in your mouth, and the salivary glands switch off at nighttime, and you're coated in sugar.
That's crazy. And
yet they think I am allowing my child to thrive and I'm feeding them. And so these are fallacies from yesteryear. So that's why I was saying, where are we going with this?
Well, no, because...
But I'm here to, let's educate people as well.
My boy had to have 2 teeth extracted at 5 years old. And it was precisely because of that. Because... Well, not me, but my wife was giving him...
Serena.
She was giving him milk before he would go to sleep.
Well, this is, again, very typical in Asian families as well. So, again, stops at 6 months, solids, move on. I'm not saying don't give them milk at all, but it cannot be the last thing that they have.
Well, so interesting. But no, going back onto Eddie Abu, I think the message, albeit said in a very harsh way, is right, that actually just stick to single ingredient food. Don't go for ultra high processed food. Now guys, before we go on, I'd like to take a moment to tell you that today's sponsor is Howden's Insurance Group. I can't stress how important it is for a business owner to have the right insurance broker alongside them. Especially a business owner that is in the motor trade industry. Especially with the increase in crime in the UK, it's never been more important to choose the right insurance broker. And I personally believe that Howdens have been absolutely excellent. Howdens don't only cover car insurance, they actually cover many different insurance products across different sectors. They've been running for around 30 years and very well respected in the industry. We get customers from all walks of life here at GVE, and there can be a customer that needs to get one car insured, or sometimes there's customers that have car collections of 10, 20, 30 cars, and we have no hesitation in putting them forward. So guys, if you find yourself in need of some insurance, check out the link in the description below, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast. The business has become so popular and you've got so many clients, but you've also got a lot of celebrity clients. Give us some examples.
Yeah, I've been so lucky over the period that we've owned the business. I think people who are seeking that wellness drive and their health within themselves. So people like Emma Watson, David Gandy, who's obviously very much into his health.
Yeah.
We had Hugh Jackman fly in for some treatment.
Yeah.
Adele,
Really?
Fern Cotton, James Caan. So, I mean, look, we have a number of these celebrities that come to our practice and openly, I mean, I suppose I'm just mentioning people that have mentioned us within their social media, so it's very comfortable. So what I feel is we're in a really great place to look after people that are really interested in high quality dental health.
If Adele then reposts you, that must be something amazing for your business, no? Do you find that, like, when one of these celebrities reposts you on their own social media, that you suddenly get an influx of inquiries?
Yeah, I mean, I would actually say the lesser celebrities probably have a bigger flow of new patient interactions than the bigger ones, because the bigger celebrities are such big fan bases, it can get lost within their actual message.
Yeah.
Whereas the slightly smaller celebrities that are really true to the practice, let's say a Molly King would be a great example, David Gandy, whenever these guys come in and they post, that is huge for our practice, because endorsement by any patient, whether it's a referral or whether it be social media, as you know, is really a big part in today's world of building your organically your business, and actually getting the right people into your business who you want, who are interested in your product. Because marketing is just about getting the right person through the door. You can get anybody through the door. If they're actually wanting true cosmetics like a turkey smile or unnatural white, that wouldn't be my practice.
No.
I'm all about the function, health, and aesthetics. Don't get me wrong, aesthetics are important, but it has to be all of that, because then longevity is there. It's the minimally invasiveness of the way we do our dentistry, but most importantly, longevity.
Any funny stories with any of these celebrities that you can think of?
I would say James Caan is my
Really?
favorite.
Go on, tell us.
I mean, he's such a great guy. I love the frugalness of him as well.
Really?
Because he would get me to come in early, so
Yeah.
he didn't have to pay for his parking.
Yeah.
In his Ferrari,
Oh, wow.
outside the practice. So I would get in early, and obviously we live Gerrard's Cross base, and then we're getting that Marylebone line in. He'd pick me up from Marylebone station in the Ferrari with the roof down. We'd go to work.
Yeah.
And he was always, I mess around, but he's always so generous with his time and his knowledge about how to grow a business. At the end of the day, I'm a dentist, so anybody like that who I can lean on for information. And still today, he's wonderful. When I just message him, ring him, ask for advice, he's still super generous. But he would come in, we would have our coffee and our croissants and let him brush his teeth. And he just needs to be out by 8:30, so he doesn't have to pay his parking.
Pay for a ticket. Isn't that crazy that somebody that's worth that kind of money has that side to them?
Love it.
But ultimately, we find that sometimes down here, right? And we just think, actually, that's probably the reason why they've got so rich, because they have that streak in them as well. That, hey, look,
100%.
you take care of the pennies, the pounds will take care of themselves, right?
Totally.
So you mentioned Turkey Smile. We've had many people that have walked through these doors, which I reckon have had a Turkey Smile. And then, but are you a fan? Not a fan? Are there places that you think, actually, no, that there is, you can't just say that all of them are bad. There's got to be some out there that are very good. But generally, like, I've heard horror stories as well, right?
I mean, look, I think you'll hear the horror stories, you'll see the good results. There's a myriad of things just to quickly talk about with Turkey Smiles. Number one, everybody wants instant gratification.
Yeah, I mean,
And so therefore what they want is quick, fast, good-looking
smile.
teeth. Exactly, and quickly. And so often when teeth aren't in the right place, what needs to happen is they need to be cut down quite aggressively to allow the newer teeth to fit in.
Yeah.
And that's really where the problems come in, because then, therefore, biologically, you're really cutting down the teeth, and therefore the nerves and the longevity and everything associated with that biological waste that has just happened is going to create a long-term problem.
Wow. And as we've just learned, it can create problems probably in other parts of your body as well, right?
Absolutely. So, look, I'm not saying yes or no or recommending or not recommending anybody. I just think you've got to do your due diligence in this, because actually instant gratification may mean pain down the road, and it often does mean that in all walks of life, actually, not just dentistry. So maintaining as much tooth tissue is really important, because as we live longer, this minimally invasive sort of approach is actually so important. And so what we find in our clients is that in their 20s and 30s, the spend is a little bit lower because less needs to be done. We can move the teeth into the right position. As they get a little bit older and the wear happens and the teeth aren't in the right place, the spend is often doubled in the 40s and can often be doubled in the 50s because no work was done initially. So getting work done early, conservatively, is a real key thing. And my big message would be, try and get your kid to have braces, because braces puts your teeth in the right position, less decay, less susceptibility for decay.
I think generally every kid should have braces.
Well, I'm not saying every kid needs braces, but the ones that do, or
Make sure
even
you
if
get
they can benefit from them, it's an organic way of putting your teeth into the right place.
Wow.
And therefore less potential for gum disease, less potential for decay, and therefore, but the bit that's intangible is the confidence that child has in his smile, in his looks, and his appearance, and everything that will come on the back of that.
Yeah.
He can find partners, he can get a great job, and I've witnessed amazing stories through recreating smiles. And transformational metamorphosis of people's lives.
That is brilliant.
So get an ISA, for all the parents out there, get an ISA, put some money aside, and get your child to have braces privately if they can't go through the NHS. But invest in your child's confidence, the preventive health care and everything that goes with that, because often they'll need less work doing. And as I was saying, in the 20s, the spends can be from £7,000 to £10,000. 30s would be maybe a little bit more, but in that sort of region. But as soon as you get into the 40s, where things haven't been done, that's where sort of the pricing can increase. And it depends also what your outcome is and how aesthetically driven you are. Like when you design a kitchen, you can spend thousands. And what I don't understand is, why are people spending so much money on luxury items, if you don't mind me saying, on car, when they're actually not looking after themselves? Because the problem is, when you're 70s and 80s and 90s and you haven't got your health, actually that's where you're going to be suffering. It's fine to have a bigger bank account, but what are you going to be doing with it? So health is a key real marker, and at the earliest, today's the youngest we'll ever be. So make the change, do what you need to do, invest in your health, and once you've invested in your health, invest in your cars.
So with James Caan, what was the best piece of advice that he gave you with business?
We had just won the best dental practice in the UK, best practice in London, 2012, 2013. And as young entrepreneurs, we thought the right thing was to move from the West End and open another, or open a second practice in central London. And we thought, in the city, one in the West End, what a beautiful way. It's 11 Dental, we're a brand, we can do this. And so I spoke to him, and I almost pitched, I said, look, this is what we're doing, what do you reckon? And he said, what's your occupancy? And I said, it's 64%. He goes, no, because you're just going to rob Peter to pay Paul. So don't do that. One place, build it up until you've got 95% occupancy. And I said, that's going to take me ages. And he goes, well, most people acquire businesses. Where in dentistry, nobody really acquires businesses. And so we actually went out and we acquired a periodontal practice, the oldest existing gum practice in the West End or in the country. And we brought that practice into ours, and overnight we went to 94%.
Oh, wow.
And
That's great.
So you can imagine, we then went from working 9 to 5 to 2 late nights, working Saturdays. We increased, and we were talking super profits now. So I understood then what it was in his mind in other businesses that he had brought to mine. And then that allowed me to consider the one in the city. And actually then a year and a half later, we sold our business.
Yeah. That's amazing. So after 13 years of starting this business, you sold last year, right?
Yeah, well, we sold in 2022.
Okay.
And it was just through a bank valuation, because we had to change our organization there. And we looked at that bank valuation as our partners, and we were like, well, that's pretty punchy. And then we thought, well, let's go to the market. Let's figure out if we can sell this. And when they valued it on the open market, it doubled its valuation.
No way.
And we were like, wow, that's a serious number now. And then when the bids came in, 9 people bid on it.
Oh my God.
So we had to go into closed bidding.
Isn't that amazing?
And so
what a result.
we just got ratcheted, and then went to closed bidding with the last 2. And now we are a flagship practice for the largest dental corporate company in the country.
Wow.
And they've allowed us to create a new building, a new practice, which is the first real eco-centric dental practice in Europe. Everything's been sourced resourcefully. The way we conduct ourselves in our practices is all eco-centric. And we're super proud of the new practice at 74 Wimpole Street now.
Amazing, amazing. Well done. So when you sold your company, you done something which was absolutely amazing for any parents to even consider doing. And that was that you took your kids out of school, jumped on a flight, and you flew around the world with your children.
Yeah,
you did 3 children, right? So
remarkable.
Isn't that amazing? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had took my first sabbatical in 2017 when I felt that my passion for dentistry was probably at 92%, and I'm usually at 99 or 100% the whole time about my work. And I sort of knew that after 25 years doing dentistry, I just felt in my body and myself, I needed that break. Otherwise, it's a continuum as doctors and dentists. You're seeing your patients the whole time, looking after them, yet you're forgetting to fill your own cup. And that is one thing that I've realized in life, that you've got to fill your own cup to help others to fill somebody else's. So in 2017, I took 3 months off. 1 month was at home, just with the family, no WhatsApp, no emails. One was everything on my bucket list, including going to the Ashes in Australia. And 1 month was learning, because again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm this curious cat. I love learning. And so I spent a month in the foothills of the Himalayas, learning about Ayurveda, yoga, meditation, and understanding what living was from a different perspective, because I'd done everything from the science point of view of understanding the human body, but I hadn't understood this ancient rituals about how you can change the hormonal change in your body, the neurochemistry in your body, just by the way that you change your body posture, as an example. So I came back from that trip away. No, you're fine. You're always sat upright. But I came back, and the first thing I said to Shivani, my wife, I said, listen, we need to do this and go away with the family. We should do this as a family together. And her first response was, I don't think that's possible. And 6 months later, she said, actually, there's this window where our first child was going to secondary school and the younger ones were young enough where it shouldn't be a problem. And so we sold the business. I had another business in Henley. I sold that. So I had sort of become a little bit more unencumbered to the world around us. And we took off to Colombia, and we spent 3 months in South America, traversing around Central South America and learning Spanish before we went, and spending some remarkable times. And you know, this is not 5-star, it's in eco resorts, and you know, my passion is this eco-centric sort of approach to life, and hence I've got my Taycan and my electric car. But everything is like just allowing my children to see the culture of these people out there, and eating their food, living their environment, not in a resort in any shape or form, but allowing them to have the culture and therefore the comparison in their life to find gratitude. Maybe not today, but with time. But also that time and memories that you create, because life is about creating memories. It's not money. It's creating these memories through life. And so what we have as a family now are these beautiful memories of San Blas Islands in Panama, sailing around in this boat with the locals presenting food to you, buying their food and cooking on the boat, and then going and cooking bread on land, and these Maldive-esque islands that you go and jump out on and swim around and nobody's around, through to driving from Guatemala to the other side of Belize. My daughter doing her paddy in Belize, and climbing mountains, volcanoes in Guatemala.
That's so cool, man.
So that was our first 3 months.
That is certainly goals for, I think, for me at least, that would be amazing one day to do something like that. But that's hats off to you, mate. 6 months. And what was the highlight of the trip?
Well, the highlights, I think, was the second 3 months, which was Asia, because we all love Asian food. So it was Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and Thailand.
If those are the favorite places.
The point was the Komodo Islands, sailing with our boat through the Komodo Islands, seeing the dragons, and doing more diving with my family. So my older daughter, my wife, and myself, we're diving. The little ones are snorkeling, and we're going along this Indonesian sort of archipelago, just the 72 islands that we sailed across.
Amazing, man.
That was magical. So that was definitely my highlight.
So here's a good question. Bad breath. And why does it happen? And how can you fix it? I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for a friend.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So bad breath is often significant that the oral hygiene is not at a high standard, and you have gum disease. So we all have bacteria in our mouth, but if it's not cleaned properly, or you're not seeing the hygienist regularly enough. And also, everybody can say they're cleaning, but actually within their rhythm of cleaning, they might be missing some areas. And that's why the hygienist is almost your barrier here to say, okay, well, now you're nice and clean again. But bad breath is often that they have gum disease.
Really?
That is going from reversible to irreversible.
And at what point does it become irreversible?
It's as simple as you'll have your bone around the teeth, and then the bacteria will release endotoxins. That will then really go close to the bone, and the bone will want to move away. And as it moves away, the teeth will then get loose with time.
Oh, wow.
So gum disease is a big thing, but almost straight away when a patient walks through the door, we know through our olfactory, which is our, the primary sort of sense, that patient has got bad breath, they've got gum disease, they'll need to see the hygienist and the gum specialist straight away.
Wow.
And sometimes I don't even diagnose anything past that until that's sorted.
So it's funny, isn't it? Something so, seemingly not such a big deal as just bad breath, whatever, but actually the actual
David,
reason
it's
why
innocuous because gum disease is silent.
Yeah.
And so if gum disease is silent, you're not going to know until somebody tells you you've got gum disease, or you go and see a professional say, actually, you've got a problem here. And so actually and then the caveats on that, you can also get bad breath from a leaky esophagus that's pushing, obviously, acid and food up your esophagus, number 2. Number 3, if you get a furry tongue and you're someone that actually gets a lot of fur on your tongue, and in our Indian culture, we use tongue scrapers. Now, 80% of your bacteria is in your mouth, is on the tongue. So people are cleaning their teeth, yet they're not cleaning their tongue.
Okay.
So actually,
the tongue scraper is a good thing.
100%. Don't use a toothbrush, but definitely use a metal tongue scraper.
Wow. Okay, I've definitely learned something cool today. Okay. By the way, how do you get a furry tongue?
It's just either that you've not brushed it, or you're eating the wrong things, or it's actually can be inflammatory as well. So,
so is that the white stuff on your tongue?
Yeah.
So that's not a good thing.
It's not necessarily a good thing.
Oh, wow.
Because that's full of bacteria.
And so you need to get the white stuff off.
Try and get the white stuff off. You get a greater chance of getting closer to someone you love.
Okay, fine. So we all know that private dentistry isn't cheap, and coupled with the fact that you're in a prime location in the West End, what's the biggest bill that a client's ever had at your practice?
I think there's 2 types of patients that come and see you, first of all.
Yeah.
One that comes initially and they need the work and you can sort it out. But like anything, the more expensive treatments are going to be the ones that you've got to redo. And you've got to unwind them.
I.e. they've gone somewhere else, that person's messed it up and now you have to...
Totally. Sometimes we don't take them on because we feel it's too high risk. And second of all, we'll take them on to help them out. But actually that is where pricing can get as much as £100,000.
Oh my gosh.
Because what you're doing is reversing somebody's work, stabilizing it, making sure everything's okay, and then moving in the right direction.
So it can cost
patients can spend up to £100,000 if they've had the wrong treatment and it needs redoing.
So like typically, if it was 100,000, how many man hours would that have taken to get the
Are you asking my hourly rate?
I'm just trying to
I'm not going into that, but it's the process that you've got to unwind everything.
Okay.
And that is not straightforward because it means you've got to drill everything off.
Oh, wow.
And that's not pleasant for the patient. It's not pleasant for us. And that is...
everything. So is this like a turkey smile?
Yeah,
kind of
100. This is exactly what it is.
Oh, wow. So somebody's gone out to Turkey thinking I'll get all of this done for like $4 grand because it's so cheap. And then ended up having to spend another $100,000 just to fix their mouth.
Absolutely. That is without doubt the toughest thing to reverse. And like anything in life, you want that reversibility of anything.
Wow.
That's why getting a practice that's minimally invasive, doing it conscientiously, good reviews, patient testimony, it's all so important.
I mean, these turkey smiles must be great for you. Joking. We don't have to keep that one then.
I'm not going to reply on that one.
You just, all you need to do for your business is target those guys that have had.
Yeah, but they can't afford it.
Yeah.
The people that can't afford it. And so therefore I'm sorry, I can't help you out. You're going to have to see someone else.
My God.
Because it's really tough work, high unpredictability and everything that comes with it. You think if somebody's done something to an engine and how difficult it is to redo it, rewire it, whatever you need to do. Number one, there's no definitive guarantee that you're going to fix it. Correct? Number two, you're going to do your best. So therefore, trust benefit then comes in more so, yet somebody's had a bad experience and their whole sort of psyche is like, I need to get this sorted. And they've got anger and they've got... So it's a difficult environment to be in. I mean, like, no one's enjoying that.
I can imagine. So you've sold your business, you've gone around the world, and you've come back. I believe you're still practicing. And what else are you doing with your time now?
Well, I love dentistry and still love helping people. So I don't think that's going to stop and still at 11.
Yeah.
But the rest of my time actually has been, since I've changed from 11 Dental to 11 Dental Wellness, you know, the universe has an amazing way of like attracting different propositions to you. And I suppose that I've always been looking for those, the next step as well. And so fairly recently, a couple of brands have come to me and asked if I would be their global ambassador. One's Soneva in the Maldives, which is such a beautiful, natural, ecocentric, health-driven, two or three places they've got. They've got Soneva Jani, Soneva Fushi. They've now opened up the Secret Island. And they do have another one in Thailand as well. But it allows me to take my family away, see their resorts, experience firsthand what it is they're trying to offer. And what's the first question you ask when you go and see a dentist? What have you been up to? Have you been on holiday? And so I think they're very clever and they've tapped into 50 global ambassadors. And I'm so lucky that I'm one of those. And there's some rather cool people on that. And we go in October as a global ambassador retreat at Soneva Fushi for a week. And so we'll all be together. So it'll be great to understand what the other ambassadors are doing, just to highlight how beautiful and how great Soneva is, because really, I believe it's a great place. I think it's a wonderful resort for children. One story, if it's okay, I'll share, is that my children, when they go to their kids camp, it's, you know, they get taken to another island and taught how to live on an island if they were deserted, and all the little tricks of making tents. And so that was their kids club. Another day they were taken for snorkeling with a marine biologist explaining what everything was, and they came back in the afternoon and they would talk about all the marine life out there and what they were doing to resupplement all of the coral reefs as well. So that's a great place, and I would only take that type of role if I truly believed in the company, and I really do. And recently I've joined Six Senses Varna in the foothills of the Himalayas. And David, you know, I go there every year for my retreat. Again, great place, great fraternity of people with great knowledge on longevity, anti-inflammatory thought processes. But again, from an Ayurvedic principle, some 6,000 years ago, of how things should be done and how the chemistry can change within yourself by eating the right things at the right time, at the right temperature, and the fundamentals of increasing the chance of longevity with what you put in your body as well. Because at the end of the day, we're only a computer. We're just, whatever you put in, it's what's going to come out. And so that has driven me to understand all of these things about wellness and longevity and a happier life. So yeah, and then the final one, which I came back last week from America, is Natural Scientific. And if you turn your bottle around, you'll see a product called maltodextrin in majority of supplements, and it's cancer causing. Exactly right. It's a glycemic index spike, but it's a long chain glucose molecule that's been through benzene.
Is it like an artificial sweetener, in layman's terms?
Yes, to some degree, because maltodextrin causes inflammation in the gut. It creates leaky gut.
No way.
Large quantities can be cancer-inducing, and so we just don't know
where
this.
Where do we find this in? Like, I'm guessing like can of Coke, you know, just kind of, I don't know, highly processed food. Is that right?
It's in highly processed food, but it's in our supplements.
Okay.
So that we think we're taking iron supplements, we're taking Centrum,
way.
and all of it. It's all in there. So
What,
if
in
you
the casing?
Pardon?
In the actual casing?
No, the casing is all vegetable cellulose. That's all fine.
That's fine.
But it's the additive and the filler within high-profile supplements that we take. And so more and more we need our supplements because the mineral contents within our soils are so low. You're eating all this healthy food, but there just isn't enough mineral content.
I never knew that.
So the supplementation is almost critical, especially vitamin B3, for anybody that lives in this country. We need to be taking vitamin B3 because it's
B3 or D3?
D3, sorry.
Yeah.
Vitamin D3.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. Vitamin D3 is the core of many of our metabolic processes.
Yeah.
And so if we're not taking it, it can even cause anxiety, variety of different things. So supplements are really important. But actually, I can't believe that supplements are creating inflammation within you. That's totally retrospective for what it is that we're using them. So
well, actually, on that note, have you ever followed this guy Brian Johnson, the 50-year-old that's got a biological age of 30 or something?
Sorry, yes, I have. Yes.
And have you seen how many supplements he takes in a day?
I know.
It's something crazy like 200 tablets that he takes a day. No, it can't be 200.
It's a lot.
It's a lot,
and it's totally titrated. And what he does really well is he titrates it to his body needs.
Titrate? What does
titrate? It means like you can take your supplements thinking I need to take this. Like vitamin D3, obviously essential. But anything past that, you're taking as a guess. You think I need it.
I need this, yeah.
But there's no information. So why are we not doing our bloods on a regular basis to find out where we're deficient, where our processes could be improved, and therefore giving your body the right ingredients and supplements that it needs? And why do we not do that?
Well, in the same way that in your business, like you said, that you're very data driven, you're KPI driven. Well, I guess we should become KPI driven about our bodies as well, right? 100%. So if you are doing bloods on a regular basis, well, I mean, that's why I've not got it yet, but I'm thinking about getting one of these Whoop bands or, the Aura rings just to, and I think for me, it's a slightly different thing. I think I mentioned it to you before, but it's, I think I need to see a KPI to stop me from drinking, having that extra glass of wine when you're out, just because I know that it has an impact on my sleep. But if my KPI was how good was the quality of my sleep, then, maybe if I could visually see that, I'd probably say no to the extra drink because I'm trying to hit those targets, right?
Dave, if you're there are a couple of things in this, and I'll only go back to evidence-based. So it's been proven that one drink will reduce your sleep quality by 9%.
9%.
2 would be 23, and 3 would be 32.
That's crazy.
So we now know that any drink will create a deficit for you for the next day. And as a CEO, as a leader, your mental acuity on a day-to-day basis of decision-making, number one, is really important. But the second part, as a leader, to create psychological stability for your staff members to feel safe is a second part of it, which people don't talk about. And for me, absolutely, I measure my sleep and I try and get my 7.5, 8 hours a day because I know if I'm going to work, I want there to be psychological stability at work where everybody feels that they don't need to tread on eggshells around me. I'm totally approachable. And actually, that has created so much growth within my business. There was one employee that recommended one thing to me that grew our business £250,000 that year.
Wow.
And that, therefore, as a leader, you've got to be open to what everybody says. And I was having a chat to team members today who are ambivalent that we should be changing some stuff at a practice that I own in Reading. And I'm absolutely going to listen to them because often listening to them when you think you've got your fixed ideas as a leader is actually no longer the way to lead. It used to be, this is my way, this is how we're doing it. Whereas actually engaging your staff will see things from a different angle, different perspective, that you will be, it'll be your actually Achilles point, that you won't even see it. It'll be a blind spot for you.
Okay.
And so therefore sleep's this really important thing that we've got. I mean, we talk about the tracking, but psychological stability at work for all your staff to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Google showed that it increased their turnover by £411 million in a quarter when they made sure their CEOs slept for 8 hours every day.
No way.
I mean, that's intangible. I don't know how they count, and that's a stat again.
Crazy.
So
I mean, the other thing with Google is that they have these sleep pods in their headquarters, right? So they have the ability, if you work there, you have the ability to go and have a nap in between your working day, which is so cool. And again, shows the importance of being well rested, right?
Yeah. And also we talk about then, flow state and getting people performing at 500% performance, 700% creativity. That's flow state. Sometimes you're doing something and all of a sudden you've lost track of time and you're like, wow, and you've created something amazing.
You in flow.
The number one way to get into flow state, which is what all these great athletes say that are in when they were shooting the hoops and all the rest of it, is rest.
Really?
Whereas the old guard of honor was like, I've done this many hours work, and the badge of honor was like, I worked hard. Whereas no longer that. We know so much of our body that we've got to look after it to be able to create for the next day. Yeah. And it's that compound effect of creating the next day and everything that goes with it with your team that allows your practice, but your business to grow in a different stratosphere, I believe.
Wow. Okay, so we've got a series of quickfire questions. I'll start off with, what is the strangest scenario that you've ever found yourself in?
In Australia, went past the meat point, ended up in some estuary, thought I was going to die, ended up getting it back to safety in this estuary in the middle of the outback in Australia, trying to knock on somebody's door to open it, and it's about to go pitch black. I was about to smash the window open, and the guys that own the rowing company or the boat company came and saved me.
Oh, wow. One unique skill that you possess that nobody knows about?
I think my super strength is bringing people together and trying to get the best out of those individuals when they're in a team together.
I was hoping that you'd tell us about how you sing or something like that. Come on, give me something.
No? That is my.
You can't rap or anything, right?
I definitely can't rap. I'm not openly going to sing outside my shower.
Okay, fine.
But
what's your favorite way to unwind after work?
With my kids,
yeah,
or practicing on the golf course, on the practice range.
Hardest decision that you've ever had to make in business?
When we started our practice, we had 4 staff, and on one day I sacked 3 of them because the culture was not right. They were creating away from a culture that I believed was wrong, was historic. We'd bought the practice, and I sacked 3 people on one day, and we had 1 member of staff. And from that day on, I felt it was the start of 11 Dental.
That's amazing. Well, it's not amazing that you sacked them, but I guess the fact that you had to make such a drastic decision, I think in those kind of scenarios, as a boss, it's such a tough decision to make, right? Yeah. But ultimately, you're looking at the bigger picture. You have to make sacrifices for it, right?
Yeah, you see, the other thing, I spoke a little bit about my childhood and being safe and comfortable, but the biggest problem that I see in life is people make decisions on fear. And therefore one can never fulfill their potential in this universe if they're making their decisions on fear. So again, we knew that it wasn't right. Things will work out. You've got to trust that everything will work out. And often it does.
So never make your decisions off fear.
If you feel it's the right thing, go for it. And then you've got mentors around you that will support you, say, go for it. You almost feel this momentum, yeah, it's okay. But in the old days of poor dad, of no, you can't do this, don't do that. If you'll take a big loan, how will you pay your mortgage? If you're thinking of that, all of that, that's all cloud stuff. You'll never fulfill your potential.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that won't. Well, won't actually fulfill what they were here to do on Earth, i.e. they had so much potential, but by being scared of, how can I do that now? I'm already, past this certain point. I won't be able to afford my mortgage. I won't, so it's better just to be comfortable.
And I love the way your questions linked there, because it was like, what's your super strength?
Yeah.
Or like the super skill? And then like, what's holding you back? Like, that's often the thing. Like, what you're really good at, you're too frightened to go for.
Yeah. Good point. Your best tip for maintaining a healthy smile?
See the hygienist, see your dentist regularly. And I think just brushing your teeth and like anything, you've got to brush your own teeth. No one's going to come to your house, brush your teeth. Get in the habit of good oral hygienes twice a day.
What's the worst thing you can eat as an adult? We know what kids...
Oh, I tell you, toffees make me a lot of money.
Really?
Toffees make me a lot of money. And also olives with pips in.
What?
People break teeth on olives.
Break teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Anything else?
I have shares in toffees and olives.
And best toothpaste?
Parlour. Go and check it out. It's a chewable tablet. And it's amazing because the bioavailability of fluoride and everything that's in it is much more organic. It comes in a little recyclable little bottle. It's on subscription. It is without doubt the best product on the market for brushing your teeth.
And now let's look at what's been happening at GVE this last week.
Good afternoon, guys. We have a very special car behind me. So right now we're doing a vehicle health check on a Mercedes-Benz G63 6x6. Now this is a factory model, believe it or not. It comes out of the factory looking like that. 6 wheels, lifted, off-road tires. It has some Brabus goodies on it as well. So Ron is behind me. He started the health check and we're gonna have a look at this car. Start off at the back, 6x6. It's not hard to miss. Here we go. So here you've got your rear loading area. Solid wood, German quality. And we've got the spare. You can see massive off-road tire. And we have the outside off-road frame, so you can use that on your off-road activities and your whatnot. We have these massive carbon arches, full carbon fiber arches. It goes the whole way. And it's housing these monster off-road Pro Comp tires. Now, everyone that knows about these will know the one trick. So write down in the comments what is the special trick of this car, and we're going to show you towards the end of the video. So there is your 4 wheels at the back. They all drive. That is why it's called a 6x6. So when you're on the road, all 4 of these wheels are powered. So you never have a problem with the car having no power going up a hill. All right, so we go inside. It's a 4-seater. You've got 2 seats at the front, 2 seats at the rear, no center seat. Who needs it? You've got a massive boot. You can put 10 people in there if you want. But it's fairly standard Mercedes AMG quality here. We've got beautiful quilted leather, and we have some Brabus upgrades. So we've got the light up Brabus side skirts, put some Brabus carpets and some Brabus bits on the interior. The seats at the back have ventilation and movement like the front seats, so it is more comfortable for your rear passengers. Now, the party's in the fun on this one. As you can see, the party happens in the fun. It's not the easiest of cars to get into, so jump in. We have beautiful leather, perforated leather, lots of carbon fiber. You have your usual amenities. You have your radio, Bluetooth, and your mobile connectivity, AC, heated seats. Everything works as a normal Mercedes AMG should. Now, the special tricks we talked about earlier is right here. Here you can see some gauges. They look like something out of a rocket ship, I would say. So open it up, bang, you hit that switch. This side is what is controls your tire system. So we turn this on. You hear that? That is the air compressor. So what that does is it's building pressure in the tank, and using these switches, we can put your tire pressure up or down. Now, why would you have that, you ask? Simple. This car is made for one thing and one thing only: to go off-road, and to go off-road fast. So you get stuck in a ditch, press this button here, it drops your tire pressures so that you have more grip and you can get out of where you're stuck. You got out of the ditch and you need to put your pressures back up, You hit that and your pressure goes back up. So you can go in the city, drive through London, and then you can go for a little trip and drive up Ben Nevis if you want. So you press this low range button here and the car will say select neutral. You select neutral and then you have these preset settings here for your differential locks. So you can adjust that. That is obviously all off-road analogy. So if you know what you're talking about with off-road stuff, then you know what these are for. You use these settings and the high low range button here. That way the car can use its full capabilities off-road. If you're looking for a car for your daily commute, this is the one. It does exactly 9 miles per gallon on a motorway and it's probably about 5 in town. So you get the best gas mileage out of this puppy. You should use it to go from home to work. Behind me is the 6x6 and we finished the health check. It's come into the showroom now, ready for sale. But one thing that I like personally about this car is the gearbox hubs. The drive shaft goes into the top of the hub and it has some gears inside and it multiplies the torque and it puts the output to the wheels. This is a safer system, it's more efficient, and it also gives you a little bit more power for when you're stuck in off-road situations, which is what this car is for. And what makes this one so special is it's less than 100 examples worldwide, and we know for 100% sure that this is the best example.
So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you did, please like, subscribe and share. And don't forget to hit the notification button. Until next time, see you later.